just an overload of news and information that we're going to get through today, and calls. And I'm going to start. We got Michigan, and I got the latest polls out of Michigan, and also this just huge story involving Tucker Carlson, and we got to cover that. And there's a major news story on Fani Willis in Fulton County. There's just a lot to cover today, so we are seconds away. Here we go.
Sponsored job. Terms and
Now.
conditions apply.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right. Welcome to the program. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. I got a lot of news and information to cover this morning. This is one of those days that if you're listening in your car and you get to your destination before the show is over, you're not going to want to get out of your car. This is a big, big day. Massive breaking news involving Fani Willis. A humongous story that should be the talk of the mainstream media, but they're not going to cover this, but we will, involving the great Tucker Carlson. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. There is so much happening, so much going on. But since we've got the Michigan vote, I just want to get this out of the way. I saw that lunatic, the other lunatic. When I say that lunatic, you may think I'm talking about Nikki Haley. The other lunatic, I saw Gretchen Whitmer. Oh my goodness, what a nut job. Does she wear enough makeup, Gretchen Whitmer? Who does her makeup? I think she has John Benet Ramsey's old makeup artist. I mean, that makeup that Gretchen Whitmer is wearing is beyond heavy. It's clown-like. And I could only imagine what's under that makeup. Ooh, boy, oh boy. But I've got the latest poll out of Michigan. Okay, Trump versus Haley. Trump at 69%, Nikki Haley at 17.3%. So there you got it. I mean, President Trump with a 52-point lead in Michigan. A 52-point lead for the greatest president ever, Donald Trump, in the state of Michigan, guys. Okay, so things are going well. But I want to first get into this Tucker Carlson story. This story, I saw this story after the show yesterday, and my first thought was, well, wait a minute, I got to wait until there's more information on this and some confirmations of it before I go public with it. And then Benny Johnson on Twitter confirmed the story in the afternoon. I discussed it on my podcast, and then since it has happened, there has been a major story done that is highly detailed, including an arrest. Ukraine hired an assassin to assassinate Tucker Carlson while he was in Russia over the Putin interview. Yeah, you heard me right. Zelensky's henchman, Ukraine, hired an assassin to assassinate Tucker Carlson. The guy's in custody. He has confessed. I'm going to share his confession shortly. I'm going to go through the story that gives all the details. You know, Zelensky, the Ukrainians, just killed an American journalist in one of their prisons. Now they put Tucker Carlson on the death list and actually hired an assassin to do it. Where's the media? You know, you see American journalism under attack. This assassination attempt on Tucker Carlson by Ukraine. Ukraine kills an American journalist in one of their prisons who's in prison because he's reporting truth that Zelensky doesn't want out there. Catherine Herridge, they steal all of her, a list of her confidential sources so they know who to harass and intimidate as she's covering a story on Hunter and the Biden family corruption. Where's the media? You know, when that CIA spy who was masquerading as a Washington Post journalist, Khashoggi, Kostogi, whatever his name, when he was killed, it was an attack on journalism, and it's all they talk. They still talk about it. They probably give journalism awards and scholarships in that guy's name, who was a CIA guy, Khashoggi. It was terrible what happened to him. I don't know why he would have gone to the Saudi Arabian embassy. He walked right into it. That was insane that he did that, but it was a terrible thing that happened. The media were all over that. This Tucker story, media silence. Catherine Herridge, a little bit of coverage, but not proper perspective. The American journalist killed by Zelensky in a Ukrainian prison, blackout on that too. And this is in particular since we are Ukraine, not just funding Ukraine, but the deep state of the United States, CIA and everything, they're running Ukraine. So the question is, was it Ukraine that hired the assassin to kill Tucker Carlson, or was it the United States? And I want to thank Benny Johnson for confirming this story. And he's in the know. Here's a story. It's in the Intel Drop, which you can find online, theinteldrop.org. Theinteldrop.org. Here's the headline. Arrest in Tucker Carlson assassination try. Ukrainian intelligence hired Russian hitman to murder Tucker Carlson. Now, some of these names I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing because they're Russian, guys, okay? Russian counter-terrorist unit prevented a terrorist attack on Tucker Carlson planned by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine. One man was arrested on terrorism charges in Moscow and confessed. After the first break, I'm going to play for you the confession of the assassin. Russian counter-terrorist forces have foiled a terrorist attack in Moscow, reports the Intel Drop, which had been planned, directed, and financed by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine, which means the United States. The terrorist cell was operated by Ukrainian handlers in order to carry out an attack on American journalist Tucker Carlson during his visit to Moscow. The terrorist confessed to the plot and gave details on it. He was provided with an IED for the attack. The plan was to target Tucker Carlson's vehicle in the Four Seasons Hotel underground parking lot. This is insane. Vasilev, I can't pronounce these Russian names, guys. In his interrogation, he recounted receiving instructions and the location of the IED. But he was arrested before committing the attack. He also mentioned that his Ukrainian handlers promised him $4,000 for a successful execution of the attack. Tucker Carlson visited Moscow in the beginning of February to interview Putin. The ex-Fox News host said that the Biden administration had illegally spied on his text messages and leaked them to the media in order to prevent him from interviewing Putin 3 years ago. Tucker also said that he was pretty certain they did the same thing in January, but he decided to go to Moscow anyway. So this guy is in custody. He's confessed. After the break, I'm going to play you his confession. Where is this in the media? I mean, don't they have any decency at Fox News Channel? I mean, they worked with this guy for years. Have you seen this story anywhere? It has been confirmed in multiple sources. And we got the guy's confession. What's going on here? Do they hate Tucker's reporting that much? Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, this is frightening. Was it Ukraine or us that did this? Oh, yeah, this is only one of a few big stories we're going to be getting into today on the program, but this one's huge. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name's Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action.
It's insanity. My shoe's untied. I just stepped on my shoelace. I mean, this is crazy town, guys. I mean, this is just beyond belief. Yeah, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. I live stream every day of the week, and I'm here on the radio Monday through Friday. I live stream them on the radio, and then on the weekends from my other studio. I mean, my goodness. It's amazing that there's a media blackout on this story. Mm.
John, CFO at Lighthouse Medical Center, are hormone optimization therapy programs that help so many people get back to feeling the way they did in their 20s. They're full of energy after a long day, reduce their risk of heart disease, sexual vigor and excitement are great, sleeping the way they should without disturbances, and reducing their symptoms of aging. Our all-natural hormone optimization therapy is precise, easy, and effective from day one. Office visits are usually less than 5 times per year, and the cost is only $150 per month for most patients. Let our medical team get you optimized for your best life.
Oh, this is crazy.
South Florida for over 71 years. Let us show you what personalized medical care and being treated like family feels like. Call us at 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. Or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com to schedule your consultation today.
All right, we're coming back.
Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM. The Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM. Hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM. Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM. And anywhere in the world. True Oldies FLA.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. If you're just tuning in, multiple sources confirming Ukraine hired an assassin to kill Tucker Carlson with an IED when he was visiting Moscow over his interview with Putin. Media blackout on this. 1-888-465-2631. If the guy would have done it, would Fox have News even reported the story? It's crazy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Randy from Pennsylvania.
Hey, Randy.
I just want to throw a little nugget at you after seeing your storyline on tonight's show. Usually
Tonight, it's the morning. This is the morning. It is 6:19 in the a.m.
I'll get off at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I stayed up just for your show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to throw you a little nugget.
Okay.
What would you think about the fact that Ukraine was behind the Russian collusion hoax and all the people that were involved in the actual dossier were Ukrainian people?
No, they weren't. You know, Ukraine's guilty of a lot of things, but not that. The Russian dossier was our people. John McCain, Comey, and the MI6 in the UK. That was not Ukraine. Ukraine's got no. That was our own people, led by John McCain. Oh, I've done plenty of. No, I'm not wrong about it. No, I'm not wrong about it. I'm not wrong about it. John, well, that you don't want to hear. You just want to say I'm wrong over and over again. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, then say you're wrong to yourself all day. Then why call me if you don't want to hear what I want to say? Come on. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Good morning. This is Rick.
Hey, Richie.
I don't know who's wrong or right, but I'm going to say this to you. We have a major problem in this country with this Tucker Carlson thing. Your question was it Ukraine that wanted to kill Tucker, or was it the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Now Zelensky? Zelensky? I'll go to Putin. Who's more corrupt, Putin or Biden? I got to answer that question.
Biden.
Biden is more corrupt than Putin, and I don't care whether anyone calls me a communist or not.
That's true.
The fact of the matter is that this country has made a straw man, a boogeyman out of Russia. And they've done it since Steve and I were young little kids, when we used to have our head under desks. And after it was all settled and the Soviet Union broke up, they still insisted that in other words, that Putin bad, America wonderful. Our CIA is as corrupt as KGB ever.
And there's no way that Ukraine took a hit out on an American citizen like this without our people signing off on it. And if come on.
And Tucker being over in Russia, our press and would have said, "Oh, this was Putin that killed Tucker."
Correct.
No, enough is enough. We have a corrupt. I don't trust our government that opened up our borders for the world and have all these people coming in. I don't trust our government about anything. As a matter of fact, I think our government has turned communist right up front, and some of the Republicans there too.
Well, and if you remember, they took Tucker off of Fox because of his January 6th reporting when he got all the tapes. He had that one night of reporting showing the Capitol Police taking the shaman around to the photographer and all that. There was no other reporting done by Tucker on that. When they took him off the air, they thought he had a non-compete that would keep him out of circulation publicly till after the election, not knowing he had this loophole where he could do internet things. And now the guys confessed. They gave him the device.
Brian, this is the dirtiest. I mean, they called everyone this weekend a CPAC Nazis. I mean, that was enough. In other words, you're a Nazi, I'm a Nazi. Everyone that believes in the United States government is a Nazi.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi is just as corrupt as Biden. You could go up and down the list. That's many of these people have baited.
I mean, you look at what's happened here. We've got an assassination a plot that was foiled on journalist Tucker Carlson. The Ukrainians killed an American journalist in one of their prisons. Catherine Herridge had her confidential sources giving her information on Hunter taken from her. Another witness, this FBI informant witness, arrested. I mean, come on. This is tyranny.
The whole country is gone, man. I mean, that's why it's so important. If we lose this election, God forbid, it's over for the United States.
The country's done. There's no more United States. If Donald Trump is not elected in November, America will have collapsed as a nation.
Yeah, and Tucker had this Chinese woman on real. She was talking about how China became communist, and it looks like a blueprint for the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, it started with the education in the schools where they cut kids out of school. It was supposed to be for a week. It was 2 years, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they re-educated them. In other words, forget the past. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Statues of our history.
That's right.
Forget the past. Only go forward. This country has turned.
Well, what the communists do is they have this year zero concept where the history starts at some other designated date than when it really did. So they can rewrite everything. All right, Richie, I appreciate the call. Now, I want to play this. Now, of course, he's speaking Russian, but it's translated in graphics, closed captioning. So I'll read to you the translation. This is the man. He was arrested by the Russians. He was hired by the Ukrainians to assassinate Tucker Carlson with a car bomb. All right, and I'll do the translation. Do we have time to play it? I'm not sure. Now it doesn't want to play online. I got it queued up and it's not playing, so I might have to play it after the break. But I'll play you the confession and I'll translate for you since it's been done for me, and we'll go through that. But we'll do that after the break. Our number to call is toll free 1-888-465-2631. 1-888-465-2631. This is just one of several big stories that I'll be breaking on the program today. Okay, I got it now, so I'm going to do this before the break. This is the confession. Now here he just gave his name, okay? In November 2023, I was recruited by the main directorate of intelligence of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. I was trained in working with special communications, collecting and detonating explosives, and working with caches. On January 31st, I received a task from the curator to pick up an explosive device. They promised me $4,000. It was to set off an explosion at the Four Seasons under a car. Do you know who the target was? American journalist Tucker Carlson was the target. He says, I was detained at the prep stage before he could do what he was hired to do. So there's his confession. It's right there. And it's a video confession. Why is this not on television? Why are you hearing this from me and not from CNN? I just read that CNN just gave a settlement to Don Lemon for $25 million. You're telling me that he's more valuable than Tucker? This story about the contract settlement for Don Lemon's all over the news, but this about Tucker is not? If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right.
have spoken, and they have said that they want a different leader. And a true leader understands when they have become a liability. A true leader understands that it's time to step off the stage, and the voters have given us that very clear message.
So does that imply within the Republican Party, Lieutenant Governor, to Donald Trump, that it's time to step off the stage?
Yes, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Unbelievable. Winsome Sears. I'm going to play that when we get back. Coming back after this, guys. Well, we got one more quick commercial after this.
Now, back to this 47 years on the air.
All right, calls on hold, stand by, and don't forget, free shipping continues at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. You get the free shipping plus the special deal site-wide on all orders, no matter how small, no matter how large. Okay, now, I'm going to play this clip because I think it's important. Winsome Sears, we don't have to worry about her being Trump's running mate. She was not born in the United States. Okay, she's a naturalized U.S. citizen, but was not born here, so she's not eligible to be president or vice president, thankfully so. This is an interview she gave with one of my least favorite people on TV, Neil Cavuto, and this is after the midterms, and, you know, after we took back the House of Representatives, and she was part of this group that even though we took back the House, they wanted to say we lost. We won. We didn't lose, we won in the midterms. Nancy Pelosi's out. There weren't enough Senate seats open that were in play to take back the Senate. But Winsome Sears, she went on Cavuto after that and was talking about the greatest president ever, Donald Trump.
When we look at the mission, and as a Marine, we're looking at the mission, and, you know, the voters have spoken, and they have said that they want a different leader. And a true leader understands when they have become a liability. A true leader understands that it's time to step off the stage, and the voters have given us that very clear message.
So
Because
does
this
that
is about
imply
America.
within the Republican Party, Lieutenant Governor, to Donald Trump, that it's time to step off the stage?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. Bye-bye. And the reason I play this, 'cause it was from the midterms, is because Winsome Sears is trying to wiggle her way into the MAGA orbit. She wanted Trump to retire after we won the House of Representatives back in the midterms. So I'm going to keep that clip for a while, just because you never know what's going to happen. All right, so the first story that I started with today, there was a Ukrainian assassination attempt on Tucker Carlson in Moscow. They're trying to blow him up with an IED at his hotel. And then did you see the story about Don Jr.? A letter containing white powder and a death threat was mailed to the Florida home of Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle. Kimberly Guilfoyle has a mansion next door to Don Jr.'s. As hazmat crews and emergency services arrived to investigate yesterday. Don Jr., age 46, shared his outrage on the threats and said, if this happened to a prominent Democrat, it wouldn't be tolerated and would drive news coverage for weeks. Multiple first responders were on the scene at the $9.7 million Jupiter home of Don Jr. that he co-owns with Guilfoyle. Maybe, does she still have the mansion next door? Maybe she got rid of, they live in the same house, or is it a compound? I don't know. Multiple first responders were on the scene at the $9.7 million Jupiter home. See why I tell you guys when I talk about Joe Thomas, I talk about Jupiter? $9.7 million home, that's Jupiter. You want to take financial and retirement advice from Jupiter Joe Thomas, who lives in an area with such prominent real estate. After he opened up the letter and saw white powder flying out of the letter, the Daily Beast reported. Oh my goodness. The test results of the substance came up inconclusive on what it was exactly, but officials on the scene do not believe it's deadly, a spokesman for Trump Jr. said. However, that hadn't stopped the conservative firebrand from calling out a double standard in political media. Absolutely. So here we have, I want you just to think about what the hell's going on right now. I want you guys to think about this. This is just this week. A Ukrainian hired assassin arrested and confessed that he was hired by Ukraine to assassinate Tucker Carlson. Yesterday, death threats and white powder and hazmat teams at Don Jr.'s house. Catherine Herridge, investigative journalist with CBS News, one of the more respected and few journalists left in Washington, fired, and a list of her confidential sources that have been feeding her information for decades, obtained by the powers that be. An FBI informant to Comer's committee about Hunter arrested. That's just in the last couple of days. I know there's many more things, but you know the rest. I mean, that's just in the last few days. We're supposed to be worried about Putin being a tyrant? Look at what's going on here. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, this whole thing about this assassination attempt they know...
On Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, they know that he's, at least, he may not be in the administration or on the team yet, but they know he's working with Trump, and they know that when Trump gets in there, he's going to blow the lid off of this whole situation. So they're getting desperate. Biden and Zelensky and people like that, they're getting desperate. This is a desperate act, this assassination attempt.
And for the mainstream media, and especially Fox News, to my knowledge, none of them have reported this story, even though we have a video confession of the guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is, I mean, look, Zelensky's losing the people of Ukraine. He's losing his generals. His generals are against him now. So he's basically backed into a corner now. You know, he's a corner now.
Well, and they're losing here, right? You know, and no one could convince me that Ukraine took an action like this against an American citizen as prominent as Tucker Carlson without getting the okay from our government.
Right, and that's the thing. And as far as Don Jr. goes, I mean, look, Don, when your name's Donald Trump Jr., you're already a target just because of your name, right? When you got that name, and that they may have.
Well, see, when these stories, by the way, Mike, thanks for calling. When these stories happen to people like Don Jr. or Tucker, the left believe, well, they brought it upon themselves because they support these positions. That's how they rationalize it. That's how they rationalize it. And I got news for you. The American people understand what is going on. And that's why President Trump is so far ahead. You know, you watch the mainstream media, you would think that the auto workers were not with Trump. Yeah, the union endorsed Biden, but the auto workers are behind Trump. And this poll out of Michigan, Trump at 69, Haley at 17. President Trump has a 52-point lead over Nikki Haley in Michigan. It's not even a race. It's not even a contest. The latest Real Clear Politics average, Trump versus Haley, Trump at 77, Haley at 15. Man, this is insane. And they're still parading her around like she's a viable candidate. Nationally, Trump versus Biden, the Real Clear Politics average, Trump at 47.1, Biden at 45. That's the average. So that includes the blue states like California and New York. You know? So they're losing control here. Well, they've lost control is what's happened. And that's why so many of these things that we are experiencing are happening to us. Now, after the next break, there's a humongous new story with Fani Willis that I'm going to get into. And this is connecting all the dots, finding out how it really happened in Fulton County. The who, what, when, where, and why. That's what they used to teach journalists. When I was on my high school newspaper, and we were writing stories on the high school newspaper, who, what, when, where, why. That's what you needed to know. Who, what, when, where, and why. Reporters don't do that anymore. They just got the deep state government position, they copy and paste, and that's what they put out there. Well, we're getting to the who, what, when, where, and why, and we've got a who in Fanny's orbit here that we're hearing about for the very first time, and many other stories I'm going to cover. I told you today we got a lot to cover. Now, I want to tell you all this, okay, that if you or someone you know is suffering from neuropathy, you want to call Lighthouse Medical Center. They have a treatment for neuropathy that works. It worked on Steve Kane. I've met many of our listeners. Recently, when we were at Wings Plus a few weeks ago, one of our listeners there recovered from their neuropathy because of the treatment at Lighthouse Medical Center. You know, Lighthouse Medical Center, their neuropathy treatment works, but they understand that if you have neuropathy, you probably can't drive in. So if you can't make it into the office, they can still help you. And that means no matter where you are in Florida, no matter where you are in America, no matter where you are in town, if you can't make it in, they can help you without even coming into the office. When you call, they'll tell you how. Okay? Their number, 754-222-6642. Make sure you mention you heard about them on the radio, because then you can take advantage of the no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back.
Hard Truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, it's Steve. Your choices for new flooring have never been more diversified. Here at For You, our sales folks can guide you down the right path and lead you to the right floor tailored to your design style, practicality, and always at the very best value for all your hard-earned dollars. Cortec Luxury Vinyl Planks and Tiles checks off all those boxes. It's the original 100% waterproof, kid-proof, and proof flooring. Features realistic wood and tile visuals on travertine, stone, lime French oak, additional hickory, and a thorn favorite, semi-wash coverings.
If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And everyone else, please like the video.
Craig here. If you're a homeowner, business owner, or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting. With a AAA credit rating and bonded up to $10 million, Laporta Contracting doesn't need a large deposit like those other contractors do. Typical deposits other contractors want are 1/3 of the contract. If your job is $30,000, that's a $10,000 deposit. If your job is $300,000, that's $100,000. What are they doing with your money? Typically, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get a permit, and HOAs, much longer. If they need money for the materials, they don't have credit with the suppliers, and that spells bad news for the homeowner or HOA. Tom Laporta is honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Contracting has been in the roofing and contracting business since 1988, and his services cover the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. Tom Laporta can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing and repair, commercial roofs, schools, municipal buildings, office buildings, emergency repairs. If it's roofing, Tom Laporta can do it. Call Tom Laporta right now on his cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaContracting.com.
Hey, Florida residents, do you want to help seniors in your community but don't know where to start? The Department of Elder Affairs can help. Please visit the resource directory found at elderaffairs.org to find volunteer and partnership opportunities. You may also call the Office of Volunteer and Community Services at 850-414-2020 to see how you can help a senior in need. This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. Everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. If you're just tuning in, just recapping, a man was arrested and confessed in Russia that he was hired by the Ukrainian Intelligence Directorate to assassinate Tucker Carlson in Moscow by blowing up his car in the parking garage at the Four Seasons Hotel in Moscow. Huge story. I just saw a story on the Drudge Report. Taliban holds public execution as thousands watch in a stadium. Yeah, a stadium we probably built. How many people are dead because of Joe Biden and just terrible, god-awful ways? You know, we've got this beautiful girl, a student in Georgia who was killed by an illegal. It was here because of Biden. We've got this Taliban public executions in a stadium. What is this? Ancient Rome with the lions? In Afghanistan now? We're in a new place. A scary one at that. So Fanny is in so much trouble. I really hope when she's arrested, it's a Fulton County mugshot. I mean, I'll settle for any mugshot with Fanny, but I'd like to have the Fulton County mugshot so we can put it side by side with President Trump's, with both saying Fulton County on them. Breitbart, Biden administration planted operative Jeff DeSantis in Fannie Willis's office to target Trump, multiple sources say. The name is DeSantis, like Ron DeSantis, but it's instead of D.E. Santis, it's D.I. Santis. So DeSantis is how I'm pronouncing it. The Biden administration, we got a lot of details on this too. This is a major crime here. Lawfare is not legal, you know. The Biden administration planted a Democrat operative inside a Fulton County office to target Donald Trump. Multiple sources familiar with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office exclusively told Breitbart News. If the Biden administration planted the operative, as the sources say, Breitbart writes, it would present a strong argument that the administration interfered in 2024, no doubt. Breitbart are keeping the sources anonymous, to discuss the attorney's office for fear of retribution. The sources have direct knowledge of the environment at Fani Willis's office, which they have characterized as corrupt. One significant figure is overlooked in the Fulton County scandal concerning Fulton County prosecutor Fani Willis and her gigolo boyfriend, Nathan Wade, the sources said. His name, Jeff DeSantis. Jeff DeSantis is Fulton County's deputy district attorney. With professional experience far greater than the average county employee, DeSantis worked on Willis's 2020 campaign and is the former executive director of the Democrat Party of Georgia with extensive knowledge of campaign finance law. He was also the deputy director of compliance for the DNC, the national DNC. Jeff DeSantis has also worked for candidates in 30 states running for a variety of offices, including President of the United States, United States Senator, Governor, United States Representative, Attorney General, District Attorney, and Mayor, as well as for national political party committees. DeSantis has served as a campaign manager, a media consultant, pollster, press spokesman, research director, and policy advisor. And what that all shares is he's incredibly overqualified just to be an assistant to Black Panther daughter Fani Willis. Sources tell Breitbart DeSantis was colluding with the White House to target Trump. DeSantis did this, one source told Breitbart about the Trump case. He's the one. DeSantis is the one pulling the strings. He was the one that walled Willis off. He was in every important meeting. He is the brainchild behind this. That is the connection to the White House. Citing his deep history and connections to the Democrat Georgia machine, sources told Breitbart, they were 100% certain DeSantis was the inside man planted in the Fulton County office by the Biden administration. DeSantis is the one pulling the strings on this whole thing, a second source said. Everybody heard Fani testify. It's no secret she's not smart. That is how she sounds and acts every day of the week. Anyone that has common sense knows that the White House has been involved in this prosecution, a source told Breitbart. This shouldn't just miraculously happen. Of course, Fani Willis is not going to prosecute a former president of the United States without the approval of the current administration. Sources say that DeSantis was instrumental in selecting grand jurors in the Trump case. So they packed a grand jury. And they did this based on voter registration data. Part of why you're raising money as a candidate is to get money to buy the data about who are your voters. DeSantis, as the former head of Georgia's Democrat Party, he's going to know you know. The data in Georgia, one source says, there's not one conservative person on that grand jury. DeSantis made sure it was 100% Democrat. Sources also revealed to Breitbart that DeSantis was a member of Fani Willis's transition team after she won in November 2020. DeSantis helped Nathan Wade, that's the gigolo, select employees for the office. DeSantis was there in the capacity to be a political strategist hiding in the DA's office, a source told Breitbart. Wade is a prosecutor on the Trump case, that's the gigolo, and it goes into some other details. So now we have this new guy who's one of these behind-the-scenes power players that we never hear about, who's now been outed, this DeSantis character. It's like DeSantis, but an I instead of an E. DeSantis, D-I. You know, we know that Fani Willis and her gigolo perjured themselves. They were sworn in under oath when they testified in that court hearing. They lied about their relationship time frame, so they committed perjury. Then the story over the weekend broke that Nathan Wade actually did the hiring. Now we find out this DeSantis guy's a white guy, that the Democrats brought in this white guy who really was running everything behind the scenes, and the gigolo, Nathan Wade and Fani Willis, are just spokesmodels. They're the front of the house. He's the silent guy in the back, coordinating everything for the White House. Oh, my goodness. I mean, this is, because something's a conspiracy does not mean that it's untrue. Okay? So we have a vast, I'll quote Mrs. Clinton kind of, we have a vast left-wing, Democrat, deep state, uniparty, that's right, conspiracy against the greatest president ever, Donald Trump. And they focused in on Fulton County above everything else, bringing this guy in. Now, there's a pattern for this because they brought in Schumer's brother in Bragg's office and stuff in New York. We heard about that. But this is a whole nother thing. They thought, for some reason, they thought the Fulton County case was going to be the one that brought Trump down. Now, this new revelation, I mean, I know there's so many, there's so many bouncing balls that I'm trying to juggle here this morning. It's hard to focus in on just one, the Ukrainian assassination attempt that was foiled against Tucker. This, I mean, there's just so much going on. They've all got to be exposed. Now, I want to hear what you all have to say about this. Our number 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff. Scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. First of all, when you started talking about the white substance mailed to
Don Jr.
Don Jr., if that had been Hunter, it would have been
up his nose.
Headline news across the country. Some conspiracy therapy there.
Yeah.
That some white ringer.
Exactly.
There to get him, and nothing is said about that. That's disturbing too. That if this guy, DeSantis, I'd like to know where he's from, what his background is, and how did he get away with having only jury members that are Democrats, because that is against those laws.
They packed a grand jury.
That's right. And I'd like to see his background and where he's from and what he's been.
Well, we know he's from the DNC. He worked for the DNC, the Democrat National Committee.
I wonder if he's even from America. They have so many people.
Oh yeah, he's from America. He's from America. Yeah, he is. But this is a direct connection from the White House to Fulton County's prosecution of President Trump. Direct connection.
And it's a direct violation of jury member pooling, of getting just one set of people from one demographic politically. And that's very disturbing here in America. For this to be going on, because this is banana republic crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's being exposed, and now we got this assassination attempt against Tucker by Ukraine. The total media blackout on that.
Tucker, before he went over there, got some expert bodyguards and.
Yeah, but expert bodyguards that you hire, you're talking about a CIA hit squad when you talk about Ukraine doing this. This is a military operation. It's not.
And he probably had some former Secret Service or something.
I don't know.
I bet you he did. He's a very valuable American journalist. I can't believe that he doesn't have the best of the best.
Yeah, and why isn't Fox reporting this? I mean, he worked there for years. Why can't they? Because they fired him. They can't report this. Jeff, I appreciate the call. We're up against the top of the hour. All right, our number toll free 1-888-465-2631. It's only Tuesday. I mean, this is nuts. I don't know how I'm going to have to start making notes to keep track of all of these stories. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll break for the top and be back with your calls after this.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and her in Broward on 96.9 FM.
If you're on hold, hang in there.
Doctor's order or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor can order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
I'm just reading over some stories I'm going to be talking about. All right, hour number 2 has begun. Call us on hold standby. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Just to recap, and then I've got an update on one of the stories. There was an assassination attempt by Ukraine on Tucker Carlson in Moscow. The assassin has been arrested and has confessed. I'm going to go through that story again in a little bit. I did detail it in the first hour, at the top of the hour. Hazmat teams were at Don Jr.'s home in Jupiter yesterday. He received a threatening letter. He opened up the letter. White powder burst out. And Don Jr., if you go to my Twitter, you can see the letter. I tweeted this, Brian Craig Show on Twitter. Don Jr. took a photograph of the letter with the white powder. No doubt in my mind, if Hunter opened that up, this white powder would have gone up his nose. But it's what it is, we don't know. I cannot read you the letter on the air because of the language that is in it. It is not appropriate for broadcast. But Don Jr. has, boy, this is a rough one. This is a letter that you when you look at it, I'm glad Don Jr. did this. The media don't want to talk about this stuff. This letter is a threat against everyone whose name is Trump. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, I think they'll break into this person's house and track them down. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. Yeah, speak up. Hey, Jack.
Hey, I'd like to know, and I'll make this brief, I'd like to know if they can connect that $4,000 they paid the hitman to assassinate some of the money that we've been given.
Well, of course it was. All the money Ukraine has comes from us, right? So so if Ukraine was paying somebody to do something, it was American money.
Yes, and I hope they can put that together and somehow...
Well, who's the they? Who's the they? The only people investigating this will be Putin, will be the Russians.
Well, I don't know if they'll do that or not, but anyway, I just wanted to...
All right, I appreciate the call. The rest of you on hold, stand by. This assassination attempt on Tucker, I mean, this is a real brutal thing here that that has happened. And of course, the powers that be are going to try to discount this story. Well, before they discount the story, maybe they should investigate the story. Why are they out to discount a story without investigating and doing some research to find out if it's true? This is from the inteldrop.org. You guys can look this up yourself. Go to the inteldrop.org. Read this for yourself. A Russian counter-terrorist unit prevented a terrorist attack on Tucker Carlson planned by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine. One man was arrested in Moscow on terrorism charges. Russian counter-terrorist forces have foiled a terrorist attack in Moscow, the Intel Drop reports, which had been planned, directed, and financed by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine. Now, what they're going to start telling you is that this website, this news site, is a Russian disinformation site. Well, how can I believe that? Everything that I see reported on MSNBC, they tell us that everything about Trump is Russian. So, anything they don't like, they call Russian. The terrorist cell was operated by Ukrainian handlers in order to carry out an attack on American journalist Tucker Carlson during his visit to Moscow. The terrorist confessed to the plot and gave details on it. I played his confession earlier. The terrorist was provided with an IED for the attack. The plan was to target Tucker Carlson's vehicle in the Four Seasons Hotel underground parking lot. In his interrogation, he recounted receiving instructions and the location of the IED, but said he was arrested before committing the attack. He also mentioned that his Ukrainian handlers promised him $4,000 for a successful execution of the attack. My goodness. We know that this government was spying on Tucker. They got into his texts. They got into his emails. Tucker's reported that. So I want to ask you guys a couple questions about this Tucker Carlson assassination attempt. One, do you believe the story? I do. And two, do you think the United States was behind it? Do you really think that Ukraine would target a high-profile American citizen without consulting with us? And if the story's not true, why are they not reporting that it's a false story in the mainstream media? They're not reporting it in the mainstream media because they know most people, like me and you, I'm guessing, will believe that the story is true. We're in a crazy place, people. Now, our number is toll free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Ben from Pompano.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, so you asked if you think this is true or not. Absolutely, I think it's true. I just saw this post, actually, that described how Zelensky has turned into a mad king, and he's absolutely throwing away a generation of men for a war they have no chance of winning. And I've heard reports of entire regions that are completely demoralized because everyone, their uncles, their brothers, their husbands have been killed, and men are literally breaking their own legs not to get the.
So why this story with the Tucker Carlson assassination attempt by the Ukrainian intelligence directorate, do you think they would do something like that without getting us an approval from our deep state, an American citizen of that level, Tucker?
You know what? I don't think they could because they're so desperate for the money and they have such a relationship with Joe Biden at this point because of his past and also because they're doing everything they can to get money. You've seen how many appearances Zelensky made. There is no way that they would do this without trying to notify the powers that be in this country because it would be so obvious if he was taken out, you tracing it back to Ukrainian, and then what? They didn't let the U.S. know. So I think an operation of this level, this magnitude, this profound, it would have to get clearance on some level in our. But we know our government's corrupt. So
at this level, I mean, this is like, he's like, this is Tucker Carlson is like Walter Cronkite back in the 70s and 80s.
That's what I mean. Yeah, as something of this significance, they would have to run it.
Now, and then we got this other story. Ukraine is saying, the story is Ukraine confirms that the Russian opposition leader, Navalny, died from natural causes, blood clots. Why do you think Ukraine is so quick to say that Navalny died of blood clots?
I don't know. That's weird.
I think he was probably, if he was killed either by us or Ukraine, not Putin. So they want the story to go away, is how I read it.
All I know is Ukraine is just, they are not the people I feel terrible for.
Oh yes.
Their government are they're just as bad as Putin's. They're corrupt.
Worse.
They've just been listed as one of the most corrupt. At least Putin, he shoots it to you straight. We all know what he's about. But with Zelensky, the level of lying and character acting, and that is a level of evil that
yes.
Putin gets you right between the eyes. Zelensky, he does this. Oh, woe is me. We're heroes. He's such an evil man. He's killing generations of people just so he can enrich himself. And it's the most sickening thing. I feel so bad for the people in Ukraine. And it just makes me hate Democrats and
Absolutely. All right. So you believe the assassination attempt on Tucker with an IED, you believe the story?
If you don't believe it, then you haven't been paying attention. They've only been escalating against Trump and the MAGA. So this is no surprise to me.
All right, take care. Thanks for the call. Wow, we'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-KANE-1.
Tell me in the chat on that Tucker story, do you believe it, yes or no? Yes or no, do you believe it? Just a simple yes or no. Yep.
Themselves so we could go and actually fight Russia.
Yep. That's exactly right. We got 2 no's. Mostly yes. We got 2 no's, but everyone else has been a yes.
30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals.
If you're on hold, hang in there.
I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Hey, it's Scott from Margaritaville at Sea. Make planning your next adventure in 2024 a breeze with Margaritaville at Sea's fan favorite buy one, get one free sale. Whether you're looking for a quick
FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM. Hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at these
All right. Welcome back. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We've broken some big stories today. You know, when I first got married 27 years ago, there was a guy on the radio that worked at the radio station that we were. I'm not going to say his. I don't know if the guy's still alive or not. I haven't heard his name in a long time. Mark Scheinbaum. Anybody remember Mark Scheinbaum? Anybody remember Mark Scheinbaum? What a clown of a guy. Oh my goodness. He and I didn't get along very well. When I was on overnights, he was on before me. He did midnight to 3, and I came on 3 to 6. And he was a chain smoker, and he smoked so bad that if I took the the pea popper that's over the mic off the mic after he was on the air for 3 hours, there was a brown stain on the microphone just from his breath because he smoked cigars and everything else. And he was the most boring man ever on the radio, and I had to follow this guy. He had nothing to say, so he would like read books on the air in the last hour of his show and put everybody to sleep right before I went on the air. And the friction between the two of us was so bad that he had his board op lock me out of the radio station, and I couldn't come into the radio station until the top of the hour news break after he signed off the air at 3 a.m. Can you believe? But when I got married, he gave me a wedding gift. I know it's a long story to get to this, but I hadn't thought about Scheinbaum in so long, but there's other things too I'm not going to share. He was a financial advisor, and as a wedding gift, he gave me his business card and said, this card is good for 4 hours of free financial advice. Well, the station we were at was in Fort Lauderdale, and he lived in Lake Worth. And no, actually, we were in Miami now. That we were down in North Miami off of Miami Gardens Road. Now that I remember the old Clear Channel building off of Miami Gardens Road in 441. He had a station wagon with no air conditioning. And I remember he gave me this card and offered 4 hours of financial advice. And I said, on the air, of course, it didn't help our relationship. I said, I'm not going to take financial advice from a guy who's driving from Lake Worth to Miami in the middle of the summer in Florida in a car that doesn't even have air conditioning. If he knew about financial planning, he'd have a car that had air conditioning in it, Yeah. So anyway, this is a long way to get to it, but this is why I want to call Jupiter Joe Thomas. He's our retirement expert here at True Oldies. And I highlight Jupiter because, as you see, Don Jr.'s in the news with what happened at his house. Don Jr. and Kim Guilfoyle live in Jupiter. You don't want to take financial advice from a guy who doesn't have AC in his car in Florida during the summer. Can you imagine? You want to take advice from someone who lives in a community like Jupiter, who's doing, Don Jr.'s mansion's over $9 million. That's who you want to take financial advice from, successful people. Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations if you mention you heard about him from me, okay? Free phone consultations. And by the way, no matter where you're located, you don't have to be local, anywhere in America. Here's his number, 561-743. I know we do strange commercials on this program, but hey, 561-743-0999. He's a good guy. He's a friend of mine, and he will take good care of you. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. You can get his number there, too, all right? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? I bet you remember Mark Scheinbaum. Doug?
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Oh, my goodness. He was so boring on the radio. We had We had Al Rantel, who used to be on in the afternoons, was listening to Scheinbaum, and he was driving northbound on the turnpike and went about 20 miles past his exit because listening to Mark was hypnotic. Bob Grant, the great Bob Grant from New York, had a similar thing happening when he was visiting in Miami, and this hypnotic thing that would happen when people listened to Mark Scheinbaum on the radio, we came up with a name for this condition. We called it Markolepsy. And Markolepsy is when you were hypnotized listening to Al Knight, who does weekends, was his board op. they used to get in conflicts so bad. Our weekend guy, Al, you know Al Knight? They used to get in arguments so bad that Mark Scheinbaum came in the control room and ripped the microphone out of the board so that Al Knight didn't have a microphone. I came in the next day and there were just wires hanging out of the board where the microphone used to be. Anyway, let's talk about things that are interesting, not that boring guy. I don't know if he's dead or alive, Mark Scheinbaum. I guess I'll find out sometime today. Someone will tell me. Anyway, so what's on your mind, Doug?
Tucker Carlson is not a fan of Joe Biden, so I wouldn't be shocked to find out that this whole idea to knock him off came from the U.S., not from Ukraine. I think the U.S. has probably backed the whole damn thing, came up with the idea to get rid of him because he's a sore on their political...
Well, you're talking... So this story that you're referencing is what I broke this morning, talked about at the top of this hour. A man has been arrested in Russia and has confessed and said that he was hired by the Ukrainian intelligence directorate to assassinate Tucker Carlson with an IED in the parking garage of the Four Seasons in Moscow. You believe the story?
Oh, yeah. Great reporting. Thank you for reporting, because I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, it certainly sounds real, because he's, like I said, he's a sore for them. They don't like him. He's certainly more for Trump than for Biden. So he doesn't like Ukraine, giving all the money away. So this is definitely something that they like.
Yeah, and if the story's true, would Ukraine do something with a high-profile American at the level of Tucker without getting approval from the United States?
No, like I said, I think it probably came from the United States. I think that was the time to get rid of him.
It's scary.
Decisions. Yeah, somebody is some rotten people in this country. And rotten people over there.
Have you seen this story reported in any of the mainstream media?
No, nothing. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for reporting it, because I wouldn't know about it.
And you know, if the story could be debunked, fine. I don't want this story to be true, right? But the media not reporting on it to even debunk it, to me, is a confirmation that the story is true, right? I mean, you know, otherwise they'd be out there debunking it right away.
The only thing that, when you reported that, I said, wait a minute, maybe that's not true, it was that $4,000 to kill somebody? That's a little low.
Well, the cost of living is a little lower over there in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, like you said, all of a sudden everything's starting to happen, you know, send a powder to Trump Jr., you know, they're all, it's like the hornet's nest has been found.
Yeah.
And now they're all swarming and they're...
Yeah.
To get whatever they can do, man.
All right. Appreciate the call, man. You know, this guy, Mark Scheinbaum, I'll tell you two quick stories about Scheinbaum. You don't even have to know who he is to get this. This guy, he hated me. He hated Steve. And he used to record Steve. And he got it in his head that on this piece of tape that Steve used profanity on the air, right? That Steve used profanity on the air. And he had this cassette, and he gave it to the program director, Peter Bolger. He gave it to the program director of the radio station. Peter Bolger, he's Pig Vomit from the Howard Stern movie. The character is really based on this guy, and he used to be a program director in Miami, and he was a real beaut. You know, he moved to Chicago so he could destroy radio stations in Chicago, since he did such a great job of destroying Miami radio stations, including the one I was on. He used to come in during the break and erase that soundbite. Don't play that again. If you say that again, you'll be fired. All this stuff. Not just me, everybody, you know. But anyway, Mark had this tape that he swore Steve said a-hole on the air, which he didn't say. You play the tape, you didn't hear it. And I overheard him talking to the program director that he was giving the tape to him, that Steve says a-hole, and I, you know. So I told Steve. And Steve confronted Mark about this on the air. And then Mark denied it. He denied it. And then I said, Mark, I said, how can you look Steve in the face and tell him you did not take this tape and say that he said a-hole on the air? How can you? And he denied it. And Steve kept pushing. This was on the air. And then all of a sudden, Mark took his fist This was on the air. Slammed it down on the desk as hard as he could, made a huge noise, and he said, "You're GD right, I did," because he wanted Steve's time slot. It was crazy. Then there was this one week, Steve was on vacation. This is the last one. And we'll break. I know we're late, but this is the last. Oh, I'm sure Al Knight, if he's listening, he's enjoying this. It's been so long since Scheinbaum was on the air. Any listeners he had have to be dead. But he was filling in for Steve once, and I was running the board, and I wasn't on the air. He was filling in for Steve, and I was supposed to co-host with him this week, but he wouldn't let me on the air. So, and he was very boring on the air. And callers would, did I ever tell you this, Mike? This was beautiful. Callers would call in all week long and say, "You suck, you shouldn't be on the air, you're boring, blah, blah, blah." And every time a caller would do this, he would hang up on the caller, hit the dump button, right? So that the people on the radio couldn't hear what they said. And then he would talk as if he was the caller. And he would say anti-Semitic things. I'm not going to say what they were, but he would say nasty anti-Semitic things, saying that the callers were saying anti-Semitic comments to him. Very nasty, very vile. No one said anything like this. And I sat there. I heard this. It was like on the first day, and Steve called me from Italy and said, "How's it going with Mark?" And I told him the story. He said, "Okay, wait till I come back. We'll have some fun." So he did this all week. So Steve comes back from vacation, and he invites Mark into the studio. And he brought in a guy, attorney Richard Essen, he was a big drunk driving attorney in Miami. He never lost a case. I remember he defended an airline pilot who killed a baby drunk, got the guy off, flying planes, driving cars, probably still today. And he was also, though, with the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. So I recounted the story about how Mark was accusing all these callers of being anti-Semitic. He denied it, he denied it, he denied it, he denied it. And Richard from the ADL was saying, "Mark, how can you do this? This is what the anti-Semites accuse Jews of doing, to discount anti-Semitism." And he finally admitted to it. It was, oh my God, those were some great days. I got to tell you, Steve and I, we used to do these interrogations of other radio personalities that you wouldn't believe. And, one thing a lot of people don't know, during the days of Gitmo in the early years after 9/11, Steve and I actually did some consultations on interrogation techniques for people back in those days. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Barry Siegel has to do his calling at 7:45 today.
All right, so I'll call him after this.
Yeah. What time is it? Is this the bottom?
Right now, yeah.
The next break.
Okay. So
what's he do? Normally 8:15 today?
Yeah, 8:15.
Yeah, he just texted me. He can't do it then.
Okay, so I'll call him at the usual time on the.
Could you play the 7:45 recorded spots at 8:15 so we don't have that long break?
Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that guy, he came in with Al Knight. The mic was hanging like this, and he grabbed the mic and he just ripped it.
Are those not
It pulled yeah. And I came in, and the wire was even like torn, and there was like the little wires inside were hanging out, and I didn't even have a way to connect a mic to go on the air.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's a little anger management there. Rip on the mic off.
I don't remember what Al Knight said to him, but but it was. Yeah, the guy was nuts. He was on the air down here for years and years. He was a nasty person. Yeah.
Also, I was going to say, I could move. I could move the commercials.
You don't have to if you can't.
No, it's easy. So like the commercials that would be playing next break for Zeal, I could just move that into the spot where.
Okay.
Because look. So these are the commercials that we're playing next break.
Yeah.
With Siegel talk instead, I could just move them down here where Siegel.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah, like that.
I thought you meant. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I'll fix it right now.
Yeah, that guy, he got in trouble. He was on WPBR, the last I heard he was on the air, and he didn't have any sponsors, right? So he started doing fake commercials. And he did this commercial, it was in the Palm Beach Post. He did a commercial for a restaurant that didn't exist, that was giving away some incredible special, and he gave directions to the restaurant, which didn't exist. And people actually tried to find this restaurant. And the Palm Beach Post interviewed this one guy who was driving around West Palm looking for this restaurant for this free. Oh my gosh!
How does man keep a job?
I don't know. That was.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
This man's a menace.
Yeah, he was a menace. A menace. I know, it was crazy. You know, some of these old radio guys. You just... Oh my gosh, I got to get back to the news now. I need a little bit of levity, you know. The news is so serious.
Those people that have the contracts are trying to listen for the commercial for next break.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Just cut the ones that are me. Let me see. Just cut cut that one and that one. You know what I mean? Well, you're right, because they might hear. So just cut. You could cut that one and that one. I don't want to say what they are because I don't want people to hear. But you know, and I'll make, and then maybe I'll do those. We'll do those later.
I was gonna say, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to do Siegel during the break or out of the break?
I'll do it when we come back.
Okay.
Yeah. So just cut those two spots that are me.
Yeah.
And then.
I'll move them into the next hour.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
We'll do them at that 8:15. Yeah.
All right, jumping in right now.
Back to the Steve Kane Show.
All right, now we got to back to the news. I mean, I need a little moment of escape from the news because what's going on that I've been reporting on this morning is just twisted stuff. I've got a news story on Ron DeSantis. And it's not that he's gotten to the bottom of the measles epidemic in Broward. Now, if you're just tuning in, a man was arrested in Russia and has confessed. He says he was hired by the Ukrainian Intelligence Directorate to assassinate Tucker Carlson. He gave a confession. I played the confession earlier, read through the story. I may do it again later. Don Jr. yesterday at his home in Jupiter received a letter. He opened up the letter. White powder flew out, and it was a threatening letter threatening everyone you can think of whose name ends in Trump. Very vile. And Don Jr. took a photograph of the powder and the letter, and it's on my Twitter, Brian Craig Show. I retweeted it if you guys want to see it. I can't read the letter on the air. The language is too bad. you see what's going on here. I mean, we find that a DNC representative has been running Fannie Willis's office. His name is DeSantis, D-I Santis, not D-E like our Kinky Boots governor, DeSantis. It's being reported by Breitbart that he personally selected members of the grand jury. I thought grand jury members were like random, but no, not according to Breitbart. So crazy things going on. Our number toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. The National Pulse is reporting on DeSantis. I mean, this is just, I don't know. We got to get a chart or something, to keep track of everything. Governor Ron DeSantis, has not given up campaigning, apparently. Now, it did slip out last week that he was in South Carolina 4 days before the primary, meeting with legislators. Okay, this is the National Pulse. They're reporting this. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis may be positioning himself to jump back in to the 2024 Republican presidential primary should Donald Trump, the presumptive nominee, be forced out of the race. See, this is the whole Nikki Haley strategy. And I'm telling you, Ron DeSantis, he's thinking he could be the vice presidential nominee with Nikki Haley at the top of the ticket. Over the past several weeks, Ron DeSantis has held several events nationwide, which I believe that this is a cover for other activities. But these are meetings supporting an Article 5 constitutional convention to institute term limits. Governor DeSantis has begun to attack Trump yet again. The DeSantis presidential campaign has continued to hold delegate calls and huddles with political allies, even after he suspended his campaign. This is being reported by Politico. Politico spoke to a political operative who's been privy to the delegate calls and huddles with political allies and says that DeSantis is still trying to present himself as an alternative to Trump and that he would re-enter the race should Trump face a felony conviction. This is Ron DeSantis. I think a felony conviction would put Trump over the top. He'd maybe win 49 states with that one. Listen to this. This is the operative that spoke to Politico. I believe everything you're seeing is part of a concerted effort by DeSantis to keep the door open in the event that something in the race changes in the coming weeks that takes Trump out, like a criminal conviction, jail, or prison sentence, the operative told Politico. Despite having endorsed Trump after the Iowa caucus, DeSantis has continued to take potshots at Trump. DeSantis' criticism of Trump, combined with his continued out-of-state travel, has left some with the impression DeSantis is continuing a shadow campaign for 2024, or at least 2028. He won't have my vote then either. I mean, how could we ever trust this guy? Look how he's operating. Others, however, liken DeSantis' actions to be more akin to therapy. Rob Stutzman, a former advisor to Mitt Romney, says, I question how strategic he's being. I'd lean towards catharsis. It's cheaper than therapy, that he can't give up the campaign trail. Yeah, well, that's from a Romney guy. We can't trust the Romney guy. But I'll tell you this, okay? President Trump has a massive lead in Michigan, so Michigan's not a problem. Right now in Michigan, Trump versus Haley, the latest Real Clear Politics average, Trump at 69, Haley at 17. So President Trump has a 52-point lead. She will stay in this after she loses. She's likely to stay in even after Super Tuesday. Nothing says she has to quit. You can run for president every day of the year, okay, of any year. Nothing says you have to drop out, all right? Now, there's traditions, and people have good sense and don't want to destroy their reputations and credibility and often drop out, even though they've strongly opposed people, right? But she's not doing that because She's got all these Democrats behind her. And remember what Newsom said over the weekend. She's like their best surrogate. Right? And she still has this fantasy that a criminal conviction or a Supreme Court ruling will keep Trump off the ballot, and then boom, she'll get the nomination at the convention with Ron DeSantis, I guess, as her running mate. I don't know how her boyfriend, Governor Kemp in New Hampshire, would feel about that, but that's what DeSantis is thinking. All right, we're going to take our last break of the second hour. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take a break and be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Oh, my goodness. All right. It's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Great, Barry. What do you have for us today?
A week from today, we're doing our next seminar here in Boca Raton at our Boca Raton office, our estate planning living trust seminar. And really, that's to give people a head start on their planning so that they can get the knowledge they need to make good, smart, intelligent decisions for themselves and their family, to protect themselves, to give themselves peace of mind. Make sure we don't leave a mess behind so that we don't have to deal with probate or deal with guardianship or anything like that. You don't leave those messes behind. You can make sure that the assets that you leave to your loved ones are protected, so it's going to the right people, not to the wrong people unintentionally. And also, we want to make sure that that everything's protected from lawsuits, creditors, divorces, and that's really those are just some of the things that we cover when we do these workshops. This one is going to be next Tuesday, March 5th at 2 p.m. at our Boca Raton office. You just need to call to make a reservation. By attending and scheduling your free consultation or free review of your current estate plan, you will be entitled to a discount certificate just for attending off of any legal fees that you may have if you hire our firm.
Yeah, and I've been to a whole bunch of Attorney Barry Siegel's workshops, and even though I talk to Barry all the time here, and every time I go to one of his workshops, I learn new information. I mean, it'll blow your mind. And you'll also get to see how detailed these arrangements that the Siegel Law Group will make for you are. And it's really amazing. They cover every possible scenario you could imagine and many you could never fathom, but these situations happen. So give the Siegel Law Group a call. The workshop, of course, is free. 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And if you missed the number, you can just get it off the website, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week. All right, we're back. Now, I was reading this story during the break. This is just a sad story. You know, we're living in really a tyranny. A J6er was sentenced on Friday. He's a 22-year veteran, not a 22-year-old who is a veteran. He is a 22-year serving veteran who received medals and awards, including the Navy Commendation Medal with Valor, the Purple Heart, and others. He's been sentenced for his actions on January 6th at the Capitol. Okay? Now, he did indeed go into the Capitol. His name's Chris. He went inside the Capitol. He didn't cause any harm. He didn't cause any damage. In fact, he can be seen on video picking trash off the floor. He even is seen stopping people from stealing things inside the Capitol. He also was seen on video telling people to leave the Capitol. But now he's going away. Well, a month after, roundabout, February 11th, listen to this. This is insane. In the early morning of, I'm reading from the Gateway Pundit, this next part. This is in the Gateway Pundit. I did tweet this story as well. In the early morning of February 11th, 2021, Chris, his 4-year-old at the time child, and his wife Annette, who was pregnant at the time, were awakened to sirens, cell phone rings, burst of colorful lights reflecting through their windows. It was a raid by the FBI. The FBI instructed Chris to come outside immediately. He says, our 4-year-old was awakened. I picked him up, ran downstairs to open the front door. Our house, street, and neighborhood streets were completely surrounded by armed FBI and law enforcement. There were 3 large armored tactical vehicles parked on my front, side, and backyard, and police vehicles that extended throughout the entire community. I opened the door, and for a second I didn't realize there were about 20 FBI SWAT team members with semi-automatic rifles pointed at my 4-year-old son and I. We were covered by bright red lasers pointed at our faces, chest, and various points of our body. Okay? This is nuts. Now listen to what happened next. The FBI forced his pregnant wife Annette outside with her 4-year-old boy who was wearing his pajamas. They were forced to stand outside the home on the cement. This was in Kansas, and it was 12 degrees outside. So they're standing barefoot, pregnant woman, 4-year-old child, barefoot in 12-degree weather. Do you know 12 degrees here in Florida? People would die if it was 12 degrees in Florida. And by the way, the temperature that morning has been confirmed. So we've got a pregnant woman and her little child left freezing in 12-degree Kansas morning weather. Well, what happened? Well, the next day, after both the stress and standing barefoot on the 12-degree cold concrete, the next day, she had a miscarriage. She had a miscarriage. The raid, I don't know if it was the shock of the raid, the SWAT lasers on her 4-year-old boy and son, or if it was being forced to stand out for I don't know how long barefoot on concrete in 12-degree weather that did it, but she had a miscarriage the next day. My goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Joe, West Palm Beach.
Hey, Joe.
Just want to say, I mean, our government, the CIA, it's been out of control for so long, and the people got to really wake up to what's really going on. I know you do, and you spread the message, but it's crazy. It's at a point where it's scary just to be this world.
So you believe the Tucker Carlson story?
That's the scary part. They have everybody so different. The disinformation is out of control. Where what you think is up is down. I do believe it, but you never know. The CIA is so dirty, and it's been so dirty for so long that everybody's guessing, and you think you're right, and then all of a sudden they switch it up on you when you were totally wrong. But I kind of do believe it. But is anything we really believe any true anymore? It's crazy.
Yeah. It is. I believe the story. And, you know, I heard about this story earlier in the day yesterday, and I didn't go public with it because I wanted it confirmed by others, right? Benny Johnson, who's well-known conservative, went public with the story, and to me that was a confirmation of it. Now, today, the mainstream media aren't even referencing the story to debunk it. So that, to me, is almost like a confirmation that they think the story at least might be true.
You know, you're on the list, too. The CIA
Oh.
in this country.
I'm on no list. I'm not important enough to be on anybody's list.
I would be surprised. You reach a lot of people.
Oh, I appreciate that. Any other good news for me? Is that supposed to make me feel good?
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are.
Okay. You're just guessing. You're assuming. You're not like with anybody who has confirmation of that.
You've seen the list that they dropped from the other day, the 26 names that Dan Bongino set up. That was in 2016 after at Bump. This is real. This is real. It's not a joke, people. Get on board. Wake up.
Yes.
Wake up quick.
That's right, from Palm Beach. All right, take care. All right, Trump country, Palm Beach. Oh, man. You know, I don't like talking about these stories, but that's what's in the news, you know? And remember Schumer told Trump elections have consequences, and this one certainly did. You know, we have transformed into another country, a country that is really like East Germany is what's going on right now. If you think about it. You know, you've got citizens spying on citizens. You've got these stories I'm sharing. This story about the Ukrainian hired assassin on Tucker. The story with Catherine Herridge. You know, and I love this update on Catherine Herridge. Oh, well, they've given her materials back. Yeah, the list of her sources back. Yeah. After they copied everything, got screenshots of everything, so they know who to go after now. They know who's... You know, Catherine Herridge, she used to be with Fox. She's been an investigative journalist in Washington for a couple of decades. She has sources that have been giving her information for years and years and years. She's been working on a story about Hunter Biden and the Biden family, and they do this? You know, I hope that Catherine Herridge, if something happens to any of her sources, like somebody gets arrested, like this FBI informant, that she goes public. You know, sunshine is what protects people in such things. Now, I want to tell you guys what protects me, and that's the Sloman's doorbell. Have you guys called Sloman's yet and gotten your door? You can get one for free. I'm going to tell you how in just a second. You really should have this. It's an amazing thing to have. I love it. You know, it's great security and a lot of convenience. You know, I know who's at my door, no matter where I am. You know, we go on our cruise, no matter where we are, on the seas in the Caribbean. I can always look on my iPad or on my phone, no matter where I am in the world, and see who's at my door. I even get a notification when there's activity at my door. And this offer from Sloman's is amazing. They're going to give you free, it's a $1,500 valued home security system with professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. Okay, now this is for a limited time. You're going to get an LED touchscreen keypad, a motion detector, 10 entry points, lifetime service plan, professional installation, and backup battery. And you'll also get a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call, 1-833-283-5050. 1-833-283-5050. That's 1-833-283-5050. All right, now after the top of the hour, Steve will be joining us. I'm going to recap a couple of these stories, but there are some other things that I have not yet gotten to. Okay? I mean, I've only gotten to like maybe 2 or 3 of the items I have in my stack of show prep this morning. So in the next hour, I do want to recap some of these big stories because they're very big and everybody needs to know about them. But I do have more that we haven't covered yet that I am going to get to. And, you know, this visit that Biden's making to the border, what the heck is that going to do? Is it going to bring that poor, beautiful girl back to life that was killed by the illegal in Georgia? I saw another story of a child that was sexually assaulted by an illegal. Is it going to take away their assault and memories and trauma from it? What's he going to do? He's going to go down there and lick another ice cream cone like some kind of creeper? You know, my goodness. You know, he probably wishes that he would have become an ice cream man growing up, this guy. Him with the ice cream cones. You know, it's a photo op. Everybody knows that. But Americans are dying because of him erasing our southern border. And him going down there and pretending like he's tough on the border, it's sick, it's twisted, and it's insulting. And it's disrespectful to the families of those who have lost loved ones because of the border invasion that's going on. All right, we're going to take our break for the top of the hour. If you're on hold, hang in there. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. That's right. Our number, 888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631. Back after this.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Broadcasting from the Rogue Studio. Injured recently? Call the Rogue.
Wow.
Where winning is a habit. 561-570-5700. Rogues, winning for you and our community. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the Oldies forecast.
A very good Tuesday morning. Hope everybody's off to a great start on this final Tuesday of February. We'll see a daytime high of 78 degrees. Mostly sunny, partly cloudy skies, dry conditions. That doesn't mean the outside. This morning, meteorologists
All right, we're coming back. Right now. 4 seconds.
$1977. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All right, the third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve. Not good. I mean, there's just terrible stories going on out there.
There's two of us here because my reaction to everything that went on yesterday was exactly the opposite. I think yesterday was the day, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Do you?
Yeah, but what are you talking about in particular, though?
Well, I'm talking about the Georgia killing. Lovely. It was Georgia.
That was one of the illegal crimes, yeah.
Yeah. I was watching from beginning to end. That's what I spend all my days. It really does. When you have that kind of continuity, it was a very special day.
Well, what was the good news about that? That they arrested the guy?
It's not good news. It was no. It was good news. It was bad news. It was good news. What happened yesterday is America got fed up once and for all, and yesterday is the turning point in this whole thing. People got so disgusted that Biden's finished.
Yeah, you got to.
Was the day.
You got to back off the mic a little bit because you're distorting a little bit, so the mic's a little too close to your mouth. I don't know. Got to wait till you start talking loudly again. Well, listen to this. Here's you talk about the Biden's illegal that killed that student, right?
There's been a bunch of these every day. There's a killing in the.
Listen to this one. Yesterday in Virginia, an illegal was arrested in the sexual assault of a minor. Also from Venezuela, a 32-year-old was arrested on felony charges relating to the sexual assault of an underage child.
The brother of the one that.
Well, his name is Montez. No, they're in different. And the other one, no, they're not. They're not brothers. They just both say they're from Louisiana or from Venezuela. One did his crime in Georgia. The other did his crime in Virginia. I mean, this is just this. You know, President Trump, he came up with, over the weekend, he came up with two new, catchphrases. One of them's migrant crime, right, which I like, migrant crime. And the other one was Maganomics. He's been talking about Maganomics, too. But, you know, the... Oh yeah, it hit, but it doesn't bring the dead back to life, or you know.
Well, look, you can't have everything, but I got to tell you, now you realize every time people are going to, women especially, who are vulnerable in this horrible period of history we're living through. These crimes of violence, especially against women, are going to continue on a daily basis. Now, every time one of them hits. It's another nail in the coffin of the Biden.
Well, listen, this student in Georgia is dead because of Joe Biden. This child that was raped in Virginia was raped because of Joe Biden. These are both illegals that have been given status here because they say they're from Venezuela. I mean, this is crazy. What's going on here? And it's like, I was talking earlier in the show, Steve. The Taliban have been doing public executions in an arena with an audience in Afghanistan. They brought that back. You know, those executions, courtesy of Joe Biden. I mean, how many people are dead or victimized because of Joe Biden in this world? Let's count millions.
As I say, yesterday to me was the day that it all.
I hope you're right. And I've got I just share this again because this is important because we got Michigan right today, and we're not going to get the results till maybe 9 o'clock or something in Michigan. They're in Central Time.
It's over.
Well, in Michigan, the latest poll, Trump is at 69, Nikki Haley's at 17 in Michigan. So he has a 52-point lead in Michigan. So that's safe.
Nikki Haley may not realize it, but her goose has been cooked.
Oh, she may. I think she'll stay in it after. Do you think she's going to drop out tonight?
It doesn't know, but that doesn't matter because the world has dropped out from under her.
Okay. Well, listen, let me give out the number. It's toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. One last thing I just want to mention before we go to the phones is this Ukrainian assassination plot against Tucker Carlson. The Russians arrested the guy. He's confessed. He says he was hired by the Ukrainian intelligence directorate to plant an IED in Tucker's car. Yeah.
When you first did the story,
Mm-hmm.
there in the show, the only thing that doesn't ring true to me is what would they have to gain by that? They
said that what the story is that the Ukrainians did it because of his Putin interview.
But what were they trying to accomplish?
The Ukrainians view Tucker Carlson as the leading voice in America against funding their country in this fake war effort that they got going on. So they
kill him
to stop him from bad-mouthing Zelensky and turning American opinion against support of Ukraine. They think Tucker Carlson is the reason that so many in this country are opposed to U.S. funding of Ukraine. We're against it without Tucker, but that's how they view it. And I believe the story. You don't sound like you believe the story.
Well, I don't know.
The guy confessed. They paid him $4,000.
Well, when you say the guy confessed,
Yep.
You're taking the word of the people who
Arrested him. Well, who am I supposed to take the word of? Zelensky?
That's what I'm trying to make sense of it.
I believe the Russians. The guy saw the guy. He confessed. I played his confession, and it's very detailed. Let me take a call, and while we're talking, I'll pull up the story. I'll read you the details. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh boy.
From North Philadelphia.
Hey, Mike.
What's up?
Good morning, guys. Just real quick, what's terrible about that killing of that 22-year-old medical student in Georgia was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Even I don't even want to say what's even worse, but the biased news media is saying it was a resident of Georgia that is accused of killing.
Oh my! A resident of Georgia? Give me a break.
Couldn't even say an illegal immigrant or whatever.
Oh my goodness! Who said that? Who said that?
CNN and
CNN.
BBC.
Oh my goodness!
7.
They're criminals. They're criminals.
Unbelievable. They just can't admit what's going on. So
they're sick. I appreciate it. They're sick. They're sick. That's disgusting. Let me read you the story. This is from the inteldrop.org. Russian counter-terrorist forces have foiled a terrorist attack in Moscow, which had been planned, directed, and financed by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine. The terrorist cell was operated by Ukrainian handlers to carry out an attack on Tucker Carlson during his visit to Moscow. The terrorist confessed to the plot and gave details. He was provided with an IED for the attack. The plan was to target Tucker Carlson's vehicle in the underground parking lot of the Four Seasons Hotel in Moscow. In his interrogation, he recounted receiving instructions and the location of the IED. He said he was arrested before committing the attack. He said the Ukrainian handlers promised him $4,000 for a successful attack.
Angry Ukrainians. Why would
We're already, now, Steve, listen. How many Americans aren't angry at the Palestinians for the October 7th attack on the music festival in Israel? You know, no, liberals in this country would applaud the attack. The people that would be angry are people that already are against Ukraine. Luckily, it was foiled. So you don't believe the story. You don't believe it.
I can't see the motivation.
What's the motivation in Putin killing his political opposition leader? I mean, you know. Well, let's see if people in the audience believe it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is George. How you doing?
All right, George.
Hey, George, what's going on?
Great. I'm always happy when Steve is there, so whenever I point things out, Brian, can say his dad is right next beside him. But listen quickly, Brian, I believe in most of what you say, in most of the time I believe what you say, but you got to be very careful on this one when it comes to counterintelligence. I can mislead you as an intelligence officer.
Make your point. What's the point you're trying? You do not believe the story about Tucker?
It's not about believing the story. I'm just talking for you to look at the abstract. It could be a plan to deceive you, because I don't want to get into too much detail, but counterintelligence is like, I can plan the story. I can say things to you for you to think that way. And I don't think that any sense of the Ukrainian would ever want to assassinate.
Well, here's the thing. There's been zero coverage of this on any American corporate media, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. Zero coverage. This story is being widely promoted online, okay? I knew about this story earlier. I didn't go public until there was more credibility to it based on who was reporting on it. Benny Johnson reported on it. He's credible. He's friends with President Trump, okay? So that gives credibility to the story in my mind. So, in my view, Fox News and others not reporting it, to at least even try to debunk it, to me gives credibility that the story might be true. Or they would immediately be on the air to debunk it. But they're not.
I understand you could be right, but what I'm saying, look at the roots. The Russians.
Well, I don't have a beef with the Russians. I have no beef with what have the Russians ever done to you or me?
What, are you kidding?
Yeah. What have they done to us?
Brian, let's go back to the Cold War. Let's go back to the...
Yeah, that's more fakeness. What have they done to you or me? How have they hurt you or me, the Russians?
No. We have to put up a lot of resources to maintain security in the Eastern Bloc, where the Russian control...
That's not us. Who cares? We're not Europe.
But we have to put the bill.
Well, you may not be aware of this, but we were occupying Europe as well, like we currently occupy Japan still, with bases in Okinawa, etc. But my question to you is, tell me what Russia has done to ever hurt you or hurt me. We're not Europe. What have they done to hurt you or me, Russia?
Well, things can be done clandestinely where you don't...
So you can't think... the answer is nothing.
No, Brian. Don't go down that road to say...
Well, how have the Russians hurt you or me? Or Steve?
No, the Russian is our mortal enemy.
What? Our mortal enemy? Why are they our enemy?
No. You don't understand the ideology. The ideology is to destroy Western civilization. And they will do it through espionage. They will do it through any kind of...
You're aware the Soviet Union fell. So can you think of a specific thing that Russia has done that makes them an enemy of the United States?
That Russia has done? No, Brian.
No. What? They're not communist anymore. No,
Brian.
No, the Berlin Wall fell. There's no more Soviet Union.
No, Brian, it is morphed into something.
So we don't even need NATO over there, as you see.
No, what we need is an alliance. No, we need an alliance against China, not Russia.
No, but Brian, China and Russia are the two same bears.
Of course.
No, they're not. Russia is not our enemy. China is.
No, Brian. They share the same border. They share border. Russia and China share border. They share ideology. They share everything that is antithetical to what we believe in.
Really? For example, give me an example of something that Russia is for that we don't believe in.
No, that's the reason why the Democrats don't understand that communism is disguising.
They're not communist anymore. They're capitalist.
Brian.
Communism fell decades ago.
Fell where?
In the Soviet Union. There's no more Soviet Union. 1991. There's no more Soviet Union. 91.
Right, the dismantling of the Soviet Union was one part of it. The head of the Senate.
There's a YouTuber I watch in Russia. I can't think of his name offhand. I'll look him up and tell you guys about him later. But he went to a mall in Russia. It looked like the Boca Town Center Mall. I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And it's a capitalist country.
Everybody is pleased to know that communism is...
Yes, it is, except in China and Cuba. And
was fighting
we should not be opposing Russia. Russia is not our enemy.
good guys. They're just like...
I didn't say they're good guys, but they're not our enemy. Listen, we got to run, so I'll give you the last word, caller. We're late for the break. You get the last word.
Okay, quickly, you understand the difference with a police state on a free society?
Yeah, we are a police state in this country.
I agree with that in a sense, but Russia is not. The citizens are not free to think. They are not free to congregate. They might appear to, but not. So, I'm going to get you for this another day.
All right, call it. Appreciate the call.
Enforcement from the calls from listeners out there that want to take issue with the fact that
it is. Since 91.
Perhaps.
All right. But you know what, though? We gotta break. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Contracting, Roofing, and Building Restoration. I am pleased to say our relationship with the Steve Kane Show and the show's listeners keeps getting stronger and stronger. The Steve Kane Show listeners are truly the best customers we have ever had. They are courteous, intelligent, honest, and quite a joy to work with. We have completed thousands of projects for the listeners, from repairs, single-family homes, large HOA complexes, and churches, with great success, and every one of those customers are like family. We have installed all kinds of roofs, from asphalt shingles, clay, and concrete tile, standing metal seam, slate tile, and flat roof systems. So come on, and let our family take care of your family. Call me on my cell.
If you're new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe. It's free to do. Subscribe. And if you're already subbed, please like the video, guys. That helps too.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM and anywhere in the world at True Oldies FLA.
All right, we are back. Call us on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. Now, I want to tell you guys, one thing that's definitely gone away is pain in my body, courtesy of Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. You know, the first time he treated me was about 2 years ago, my knee pain. Gone after 2 treatments, hasn't returned. And the reason that when he rids you of pain with his laser wave pain treatment that it does not return is because the laser treatment actually repairs the damage that is causing you the pain. You know, the laser wave pain treatment, there are no injections, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. It is 100% painless, and it works on so many different types of pain. Arthritis, got rid of my arthritis. Bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck injuries, back injuries, knee pain like I had, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated discs, acute pain, chronic pain, and so many more. That is an incomplete list of the pains that it works with. Give Dr. Appleton a call. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. Here's his number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. All right, now the question is a simple question I asked. What has Russia done to hurt me or you in this country? I can't think of anything.
Let me ask you a question. All those dead Ukrainians...
Those are not Americans.
Oh, so they're... Okay. I get it. So they're not killing people? They're not... We're not fighting against... They're not fighting against our weapons?
Oh, probably. Yeah, they're probably... Yeah. Steve, there are more people being killed in this country by the illegal invasion than over there.
So can you give me a yes or no?
There's no fight over communism. There's no communists left really in power in Russia. Russia's no longer a communist country.
So then Putin's not a communist?
He's a dictator. I don't know. He's one of the richest men in the world. What kind of communist is a billionaire?
The audience is out.
See, I have a hard time being concerned about Ukrainian border sovereignty when ours has been erased. All right, we'll go to the phones. Here's our number: 1-888-GO-CANE. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Kathy Hill, West Virginia.
Hey, Kathy.
Hey, what I was calling about is people are crazy if they think that they didn't try to assassinate Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Russia, I don't think has ever done anything to us.
No.
For a long time.
Not for a while.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't understand people. They don't want to understand that Ukraine is corrupt.
I mean, they did shoot down that Korean airliner in 1980. What? I was a little kid. I vaguely remember that, but it flew off course. But I'm talking about the new Russia since the Soviet Union fell. What have they done?
They've never done nothing to us that I know of.
Yeah, exactly.
You also believe there's no more
I'm sure there's communism. There's communism in Cuba and in China. I'm sure there's some communists still in Russia.
You told me there's no...
Well, it's no longer a communist country, and who cares? I mean, are we going to invade Cuba because it's communist?
Don't describe Russia as a communist country. What would you describe Russia as?
A dictatorship.
Taking care of Ukraine, and they're always corrupt and doing something. We're seeing.
But it's a pretty capitalist system over there in Russia. It is. I mean, they have a dictator, but it's a dictator who oversees a capitalist system.
Tucker went over there to do his interview of Putin. They also said before he even got it done that Ukraine, Zelensky had a hit.
Mm-hmm. And we know it's true.
I've seen that on all different stations.
And now they've arrested the guy, and he's confessed.
Thank God they got him.
Yep, that's right. All right, take care. Thank you for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen.
So I know a woman that is from one of those countries. I won't say where, but she knows a lot about Putin, the history over there. And we were just talking, and she said that it's not communist. And she says the reason that Putin went in there was because he didn't want, I guess, Ukraine to be to join NATO.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to sit down with those people and have talks, and they refused to do it. She's very familiar with
we should join NATO, ma'am? Ma'am, do you think we should join
Ukraine?
Join. Jesus.
Russia. You were right. We should let Russia join NATO. They'd be a great member of NATO. They could help us against China. That's what Putin told Tucker during that interview. He says we wanted to join NATO so we could help the United States and Europe fight China.
Right, and they're right on the border of.
Do you believe the story that the Ukrainians hired this guy to assassinate Tucker Carlson? Do you believe that story?
Well, it wouldn't be surprising.
Mm-hmm.
She says, Putin loves his country like Trump loves his country.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is very smart, just like Putin. And she said, there's a lot of Russians over there in Ukraine. He didn't want to go in there and do what he had
Brian,
to do.
do you agree with what this lady's saying about the moral equivalence between?
See, I don't care. See, I don't care about Ukraine. I'm worried about our border and our people being killed. And our people are being killed every day. We talked about a couple of them by illegals that Biden is bringing here. How can I be concerned about the border sovereignty of Ukraine? I just don't care about it.
Right. There's no reason for us to be over there and giving all this.
I'm not pro-Putin. I just don't think it's our business, and I don't care about it.
Right. The only reason they care about it, again, as you said, is it's a money laundering business.
Venezuelans are killing more Americans than Putin.
It's disgraceful.
So should we invade Venezuela?
All
right, Joe Ellen. We got to take our bottom of the hour break. We'll be back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show.
What does that mean, Mark? Putin loves the Steve Kane Show? What does that mean? Did you guys, I put in the community section the picture of President Trump at the gas station. Did you guys see that? If you haven't, you should check it out. It's a great picture. Ugh. You can tell what time I wake up in the morning by when I start tweeting. I was up really early this morning. Really, James? 1.2 million. I didn't say Putin's not bad. Back after this. All right, calls on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve is here. Yeah.
Just to pick up where we left.
Okay.
I'm starting to understand you better. Because sometimes I don't quite see your perspective, but I'm starting to understand you better. So that's why you're so angry that we're wasting our money weaving the U.S. We're wasting our money by the whole investment in NATO and all the money we're wasting on.
Yeah, that's all a waste.
It's all a waste. Because Putin doesn't want to take over any other countries, right? He's finished taking.
No.
If we just give him this little request he's got here.
No, I'm not Neville Chamberlain, but Putin, you know.
But is there any? Does he have designs on any other country?
He doesn't have designs on any territory that was not part of Russia prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union. The Ukraine and Crimea are part of Russia.
So he's not expansionist and.
No. Nope.
For why we need NATO is phony.
It's out of date. Europe is now just a tourist trap. It's like, it's like the south of the border up there when you're driving up north off 95 or something, or Buc-ee's out in Daytona. Europe's a tourist trap. Yeah, it's a tourist trap now. It's unimportant.
Now, what are you upset?
Well, I'm upset, Steve, when I go and I see in our news that Venezuelans are raping and murdering Americans. And, yeah, so I can't get jazzed up about the sovereignty of Ukraine's border being violated when ours is being invaded and Americans are dying every day.
It's in theory, just to see the bounds of your imagination here. So let's just say that we step back and we let him take over this present conflict.
Yeah, Ukraine. Yeah.
Ukraine. That's enough. You think he wouldn't go any further?
The only thing he would take are countries that used to be part of Russia officially that he thinks still are part of Russia. He wouldn't take Poland or France or Germany or anything. No. No.
Make some calls.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you want to. They're going to agree with me, I think. You're on the air. I screen no calls on this program. You're on the air.
Westlake Work, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey, Steve, you are horribly wrong this morning. You got to stop. You're digging deeper. He 1,000% was a hit on Tucker Carlson. Let me lay out why. Number one, who was the one mainstream reporter who was bringing up Nord Stream 2?
Thanks, Deborah.
Carlson.
That's right.
And number two, look up Daria Dugin. Alexander Dugin's daughter was blown to pieces with a car bomb done by the Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm.
These people are not our friends. And listen, I'm not a Putin. I'm not Neville Chamberlain either. I don't care about Russia. I care about our southern border and our sovereignty, not NATO and funding whatever we're funding over there. So
exactly.
You got to take the L on this one, brother.
Yeah, who cares about Europe? You know.
Just gonna have to disagree on that, my friend.
See, you know, Venezuelans are. I mean, how many Americans are dying because of the southern border invasion every day? We don't know. Between the crimes, between the fentanyl poison and everything that's going on, it's out of control. How can I be worried about?
Oh, caller, let me ask you a question. Did you see any of the footage that Fox shot last week when they sent Brett Baer over? Any of those interviews?
No.
That's propaganda. I don't buy any of that. I tell it. Yeah.
Thousands of people being killed, but I guess that's all propaganda.
Listen, Steve. I listen. Hold on, caller. Hold on. I've been telling people for 2 years. If you want to know what's going on in Ukraine, watch Pavlo from Ukraine on YouTube. He's a guy in his 20s. He's got a YouTube channel. And I watch him. He's in Ukraine. You never see. He's in his 20s. He's not in uniform. There's no war. He just took a weekend vacation to Kiev with his girlfriend for her birthday. He just flipped a house.
Those that watched the Fox film that was films that were coming out.
I don't believe that. I don't believe what I saw. I don't believe it.
It was just a fantasy.
If you.
Was it dead people they talked about?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think there was some initial fighting. I think right now it's pretty much a stalemate. Not much is going on. I watch Pavlo in Ukraine.
But they're not showing you the funeral. They're not showing you the headstones in the cemeteries.
I'm sure they have cemeteries.
People, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, 100,000 people are dying each year because of Chinese fentanyl, not Russian fentanyl.
Yep.
If Russians
And this country.
What does that got to do with what we're talking?
We're the country that's under attack, and we're not defending it.
China, not Russia. Russia has.
China's the enemy, not Russia.
You just changed the subject.
No, Ukraine's not our business. It's not our business.
Okay.
By the way, I was in West Lake Worth over the weekend, otherwise known as Wellington. I drove through.
You should have came and seen me.
I went to a fried chicken restaurant that's named after you, Steve, Kane's. Yeah, now they spell it with a C, but you can pretend, while you're there. All right, take care, caller. Thanks. All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mike from Coral Springs now.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, I just wanted to comment. I was around when the Soviet Union supposedly fell. I mean, I went to sleep one night, and the next morning, the Soviet Union was gone.
Yes.
I just don't think nothing changed. Maybe the name, but nothing changed.
They're capitalists there now.
What capital?
I watch a lot of people that have YouTube channels in Russia.
A lot of money in NATO.
And yeah, you're absolutely correct. We are. I agree with you, Steve. And if you see what Russia is really like, it'll blow your mind how modern it is. It's amazing.
How did it get overturned overnight? I mean,
It wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight. It was a facade they had up. In our government, because the military-industrial complex was happy to spread the propaganda. It didn't fall overnight. They were bankrupt for decades, and they finally had a collapse. It wasn't overnight. It was over many, many years.
So how did they recover if they collapsed?
Well, they haven't. They're a capitalism. It's a capitalist country now.
All right. Okay. Well, I just think it's the same communism with a different.
See, you guys grew up. I grew up during the Cold War too, but you guys grew up in the beginning of it, and you're so brainwashed against Russia, you can't come out of it. You're like, you got to be deprogrammed.
Well, I'm just saying, I went to bed one night. And I woke.
Well, then you weren't paying attention.
Well, in 1989, it went overnight. They changed overnight. No military movement or nothing.
No, there was a coup. Yeltsin led a coup against Gorbachev. They took Gorbachev hostage. Gorbachev was at a resort along the Black Sea, and Yeltsin took him hostage, if you remember, and had a coup. And it was a military coup. They had tanks in the streets in front of the Kremlin, if you remember, and Yeltsin came out and waved and everything.
Steve, I'm with you, Steve. I guess for some people aren't going to change.
That's right. Yes. Oh, yes. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9.
All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking?
Metals looking good again today. After yesterday's loss of $5.10, we're back up $5.80 this morning. Yesterday we saw gold trading in a range of $2,025 on the low to the high of $2,037, and then closing at $2,030.20. That was down $5.10. Silver lost 42 cents at $22.50 the ounce. Platinum was down $23 at $8.76, and palladium was down $17 at $9.39. This morning, as I said, gold up $5.80 right now at $2,036, trading in a range so far this morning from $2,032 to $2,040. Silver up 10 cents right now at $22.60 the ounce. Platinum gaining $12 at $8.92. And palladium up $6 at $9.45. So certainly the losses from yesterday on gold have been regained already. Silver still lagging the market and very underpriced, it seems, at $22.60.
Absolutely. You know, on Sunday, William Youngman, I got a call from my mother, and she said that she was cleaning out her kitchen and throwing away a bunch of stuff. And she says, I have some junk here that I'm about to throw out, Brian. I wanted to call you first to see if you want it. I said, what is it? And she says, I got I got a bunch of old sterling silver, a few sets of it. I was about to throw in the trash. Do you want it? I said, Mom, that sterling silver's money, right? And I said, you can take it to William Youngman. Can you tell people about sterling silver?
Sterling silver is 9.925 pure silver, and is quite valuable. I mean, it's just about 10% less than pure silver.
Wow!
And and so you're throwing away quite a bit of money if you're throwing away a sterling silver set. That could be as much as $1,000 or more.
Oh my goodness!
Bring it in. We buy them all the time, and we will pay you top dollar for anything made out of sterling silver. It has to be marked sterling or 0.925 on the item somewhere.
Now here's another thing, because my mom asked me this. I told her I'd ask you. You don't have to clean it first, do you, before you bring it in?
No, do not do that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it. Don't do it. I thought, you guys, I know, isn't that crazy? You know, obviously my mom doesn't listen to me on the radio, or she would already know that about the sterling silver. But yeah, I said, Mom, that's, she's talking about she's taking one of those European river cruises. I said, Mom, you could probably pay for that river cruise with this silverware you're about to throw in the garbage. Don't do it. All right, so listen, guys, give William Youngman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m., 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com, or stop right in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, we'll be right back.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now this.
All right, now while all of you guys are focused on Putin, I'm looking at the political oppression in this country by this regime, and they're trying to do to Mike Lindell what they're trying to do to Donald Trump, bankrupt these people by getting court judgments. And last week, Mike Lindell had this $5 million judgment against him for supporting Trump. And you know what's crazy about it? This $5 million judgment is the smallest judgment against him, the smallest one by far. That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, my goodness. I saw him interviewed over the weekend, and he was talking about it. I mean, I don't know how these guys go through it, Steve. If I had a $5 million judgment against me, I'd be physically ill. But listen, Mike Lindell, for Steve Kane listeners, has extended the free shipping offer with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And that's free shipping site-wide, everything at MyPillow.com. No matter how small the item, no matter how small the purchase, no matter how large and heavy the item or how large the purchase is, it is free shipping site-wide. Plus, you get the special deal. Just as an example, the 2-inch MyPillow mattress topper, which I have on my guest bed, it is spectacular. It's 50% off with our promo code Kane. So you get the 50% off and free shipping. And that free shipping is a considerable savings, okay? So MyPillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout. Free shipping site-wide. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. All right, you want to go back to the phone, Steve?
Yes, let's.
All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. Yeah, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Richard from Coral Springs. I agree with you, Brian. You know, I think a lot of people from the old era think hating Russia is patriotism. And I believe that's a very wrong idea. They always wanted a boogeyman, and the boogeyman was Putin, or before that, any other dictator which has been there.
Where's your accent from? Where's your accent from? That's not Coral Springs.
Too many times. Remember Nikki Haley and Ramaswamy?
Oh my goodness! You're from India. Okay, I thought you might be from like Eastern Europe or something.
No, sir. I think you read it wrong.
How's Nikki Haley doing these days, by the way?
Oh well, I never liked her. You know that.
Good.
Sure, but like other people are saying the same thing. You know, there are always going to be defectives in Russia. And people who don't like that because there is so much of Ukrainians live in Russia, vice versa, Russians live in Ukraine. My first call to you was a long time back when they first invaded Ukraine. And that's the time I spoke about it because I deal with a few of the Russians at my store because there's a Polish deli. And a guy told me, never believe all the stuff which is happening because Russians are more patriotic than Americans when it comes to their country. And that's exactly what is happening. If you see now, Putin is very popular because what they think they're doing is the right thing. Because it is a border issue and it is none of America's business.
Correct.
America has been.
You know, and you know, with this propaganda piece that Brett Baer did on Fox, you know, Pavlo from Ukraine on YouTube, which you guys should all watch. Okay, he took his girlfriend from their farm out in the country to Kiev for her birthday. They drove across the country, and he filmed it driving across the country. It looked like he was driving.
In the cemetery?
Well, that was the thing. I saw nothing. Steve, it looked like he was driving through Michigan in the wintertime. He stopped off at a gas station. They had a gourmet cheese and wine section at this rest stop in Ukraine. Where's the war? I didn't see anything.
Oh, my. One last point, Steve. Russia's economy is the 6th largest in the world and is number 1 in Europe. And people do not understand that Russia is doing way better than America is within their country. I mean, not globally, maybe.
We're the number 1 economy still, even with these Democrats selling us out.
Yes. I'm saying Russia is doing better than Germany and France and everything else in spite of that. And people who think they are still communist, I mean, there is communism everywhere. Every part. Even America is not the freest country in the world. People think that.
That's true. It's not these days. All right, take care. Appreciate the call. All right, Singapore. I don't know if I want to go to Singapore. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jersey Mike from West Palm Beach.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, what's up?
Great show as usual. Listen, I want to say something about Russia. I've been in Moscow. I'm a Vietnam veteran, because that ties into what I'm going to say. I found that area the cleanest area I've ever seen in my life. And as far as the citizens of that Soviet Union, there's no homeless there. They get clothing, they get full medical care, and they get fed. They take care of their people very well, none like what we do here in the United States. 48,000 veterans, they are alive on the line for us to be able to talk today, that are homeless here in the United States. It's unforgivable, but it goes on. And nobody's even aware of that, probably. And so I would say to you that things are not right here, and they haven't been right here for a long time. I'm 78 years old. I watched them very carefully. I'm a very observant person. I've been a chemical engineer for 45 years, so people like me look at things and analyze things.
You know, I know this guy. He I haven't talked to him in years, but he was a CarMax manager. He was from Bulgaria, and he was in the Soviet Army. And he was telling me how there was like no crime in the Soviet Union. He said you could walk through the Soviet Union day or night without fear, because and your kids were safe too, because if anybody did anything, you just wouldn't see them again. So no one did crime. But yeah, exactly.
Reassuring.
Yeah, it was safe.
How do we change things here? How do we make America great again?
Elect Donald Trump. Elect Donald Trump. That's how.
Right, absolutely.
Trump is the solution. Everything. Take care. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, good morning. I'm so
Oh.
That was hilarious. Let me tell you something. Russian people make about $200 a week. Okay, they're all living.
Well, that's about what you make, right?
And yeah. And then you know what? Also too, and Russia's so clean. Russia's so this. You go outside and they don't like what.
Oh.
What are you talking about? A free, happy country? These people need to wake up, okay? And the propaganda that you're spitting is a very dangerous lie, because you're getting gratification and all this, compliments to this.
Well, this is what I know. This is what I know. Okay, the leader of the political opposition in America is named Donald John Trump. And this regime has arrested him and got a mugshot. Now we find out that the DNC has a representative that's been running Fannie's whole prosecution against President Trump, even handpicking the grand jury members that indicted him.
So the RNC hasn't had any troubles with their party.
They're not involved in lawfare. No. We now have proof. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the oppression of the political opposition. We now know, it's reported in Politico, it's reported in Breitbart and elsewhere. There's a guy named DeSantis, not DeSantis, DeSantis, who worked for the DNC, who's been organizing the entire case against Trump as a deputy DA, supposedly working with Fannie, but he's been running the whole office. Okay?
So funny.
So how are we free when they're oppressing the political opposition leader?
Hey, you got JJ, Joel, and all these people that say, they used to say this back in Vietnam. If you don't like it, leave it, pal. If you don't like the United States, leave it. We got into a situation where we're the big brother across the world. And keeping that role, we might have lost ourselves in certain values, but do not ever give yourself points for patting Putin on the back, okay?
I'm not patting Putin on the back. I didn't say he's a good guy. Oh my God! Did he say something? I think I hit the dump button. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. He was cutting in and out. Let me hit the delay again. I'm not certain he said that word. Did he? Maybe. It sounded like it to me. Oh my goodness. Oh well, I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. I'm just saying he's not our problem, Steve. There's a difference, right? And
it depends how seriously you want to take,
Well, let me tell people what brought this discussion on today. This isn't just some random discussion about Putin, Russia, and Ukraine. There's a story being widely reported today that the Ukrainian Defense Directorate hired an assassin to kill Tucker Carlson when he was in Moscow. They've arrested a gentleman who has confessed, said he was hired to plant an IED explosive device on Tucker Carlson's car at the parking garage of the Four Seasons Hotel in Moscow. He's in a Russian jail. He's in a Russian jail. I saw he's confessed. So, and that's why we're talking about. I believe that story. I know Steve doesn't, and some of these others don't, but I believe that story. And I just don't care about Ukraine or Russia. I care about this country, and we're being invaded, and our people are being killed every day. And I can't worry about border sovereignty of Ukraine when we don't have border sovereignty here. That's all I'm saying. And I don't understand why that's even controversial. I don't understand what we're even disagreeing about.
Choose one.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, because our country has totally ignored our southern border, they've erased the southern border. Okay?
Or the credit.
Well, they're running the country. So, the Biden's running the country with, with whoever else, and they've erased our southern border.
And that's basically his plot.
Correct. I'm not holding you or me responsible for it, but our country is being led by these Democrats who have completely opened up our southern border. We're being invaded. We had twice as many illegals come last year than babies were born. Okay? So they're coming here at a rate much greater than our birth rate. And by the way, that number, twice the number of illegals than the birth rate, that doesn't include all the pregnant women they came across or got pregnant and had babies after they got here. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, I didn't curse.
I said I wasn't sure. Well, you did a couple. No. You used the. Okay, he confessed. I'm not giving him. He has in the past, so I always have to be on the side of caution with you. All right, listen, we're out of time for today. We will be back tomorrow. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane has been here. This story about the assassin in Tucker, you can find it online. I tweeted it. It's all over the internet. You guys should read it and decide for yourself whether you believe the story or not. I believe it. I believe it. That doesn't mean you have to, but I do. All right? Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump.
WSFS 104.3 HD.
All right, guys, I got to run, okay? Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and if you're already subbed, like the video, all right? I will see you all later.